Me when the waiter in an Indian restaurant asks how my food was.
It just gives me the shits. It gives me the shits.
Me when the person in Tesco asks if I have a loyalty card.
I'm sick of how you do business. I've had enough of you.
How I describe myself on my online dating profile.
Very, very selfish. Very, very nasty. Selfish son of a bitch.
Me after giving my 6-year-old nephew a Mars bar for his birthday present.
I don't even know why I'd offered it to him because he's an unappreciative jerk.
Me when my ex-wife asked which pair of shoes looked better on her.
You know what? I don't give a fike what you buy. I really don't give a shit. I don't fucking care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't give a fuck what you buy. It doesn't matter to me.
Me when one of my friends offers me constructive criticism.
At the end of another friendship,
What I said when my little nephew told me he was being bullied at school.
I don't give a shit about you and your pathetic problems.
Me when my ex-wife complained that I didn't buy her a Valentine's card.
Life is too short for me to blow smoke up your ass.
Me when my friends try and make me slam a tequila shot at 2 a.m. after 10 pints.
You know what? I had enough. I've had enough. And that's honestly, to be completely honest with you. I've had enough. I had enough.
And this was how I said goodbye to my mother and father-in-law after they came to stay for Christmas.
You really piss me off. And that's just the way I feel, guys. You know what? Just fuck off, and leave me alone. To be honest with you, just fuck off and leave me alone.
Hello guys, welcome back to the show. So today I was interviewed by the Minister of Armaments, Anatoly Kuznetsov, part of our new regime. My rule of Fragcom is going well so far, and we've got some great people that we're working with here. And he interviewed me about 10 fragrance brands, big designer brands, and he asked me which is my favourite fragrance from each of those brands. Here we go.
Fraternal fragrant greetings, comrade. The people of Fragcom will be very interested to hear your views on these fragrances.
Hi there, yes, thank you for coming. It's going to be good to talk to you.
First, I would like to ask you, dear leader, for your opinion on the house of Chanel.
Okay, well, Chanel, it's the big one really, isn't it? Chanel is, to me, it's got to be Chanel or Dior as the two big designer fragrance houses, and really we're spoilt for choice because I've always been a big fan of their fragrances. Before I really was heavily into fragrances, I had a couple of signature scents, Chanel Pour Mature for a while, and then a more modern scent, Allure Homme Sport, was a signature scent for many years, and they just don't make bad fragrances. Everything they do is classy. I was really tempted to pick Pour Monsieur, their first release from 55, but in the end I've gone for Egoist from 1990. I think this is the greatest of their fragrances, but it really is a tough call. I'm a big fan of Edition Blanche, also the Allure Homme Flanker, which is really nice. But for me, Egoist from Chanel is the number one. It's one of the best sandalwood fragrances you can buy anywhere. It's got freshness, citrus, mandarin in the top note, creamy, beautiful sandalwood note in the base, the usual beautifully blended Chanel florals, this almost spicy, sweet combination in there as well. Classy, grown-up masculine stuff, a masterpiece from 1990, Jacques Polge perfumer. So for me, and it performs really well still for me in the modern, well, this is not the modern version, it's not super vintage, but the ones I've tried in stores seem to smell exactly the same. I think it's a great performer too, and I love Egoist from Chanel. If you'd like to see an extra video from me every week, sign up to my Patreon group. It's only $2 a month. There's a link in the description, and we have loads of interesting stuff going on there. I do a lot of fragrance stuff, of course, but I also talk about some other things to do with my life. It's really fun, and I hope to see you in there. As I say, you can follow the link in the description, or just go to Patreon and type in Mr. Smelly 1977.
Next, what do you think is the best fragrance from Armani?
Yes, Armani, interesting house. You know, there's so many things from Armani that are just not my thing at all and pass me by. The whole Profumo code line or whatever it is, it just doesn't seem to interest me. Of course, Acqua di Gio was a big thing when that came out in the mid 90s. Huge, one of the seminal aquatic type fragrances, along with l'Odyssée. But for me, I'm going to have to be honest, and it was the first release from the house. I think it was 1984 that they released Armani Eau pour Homme, and this to me was their absolute greatest masculine release. I think we can just about call it a citrus aromatic fragrance. Fantastic melange, as Max Forti would say, of citrus notes in the beginning. The combination of herbal tones in the mid with patchouli in the base, its kind of rugged masculine edge in the base. Just exquisite. It's a real signature scent. I've got the vintage version here. There is a difference, and the modern one a little bit fresher and a little bit lighter. Maybe doesn't last quite as long, but I think both are absolutely exquisite. And really, guys, you know, people out there, you shouldn't miss this one. It is an absolutely stunning fragrance, still in today's formula. And although, I do recognise the importance of things like Acqua di Gio, and of course Acqua di Gio Profumo is very popular with people, but it just doesn't tickle me the way that Armani Eau pour Homme. It's the greatest, in my humble opinion, from the house of Armani.
And next we come to Mugler.
Mugler, yes. Well, I'm not really a Mugler guy. I was thinking about the Cologne, Mugler Cologne, but I thought that's a bit boring, isn't it? The Amen line is interesting. I'm not sure I like the bottles, but if I had to plump for one that I think they did a good job with, I think Pure Havana is great. Celebrating the idea of Cuban cigars, of course, from Havana. So it's a lovely spiced cherry tobacco fragrance with that sort of tarry patchouli Amen thing in the base. I'm not a Mugler guy, I don't wear it often, but it is a really, really good fragrance, I think, and it makes me feel just a little bit like I'm Che Guevara puffing on a big fat Cuban cigar when I wear this occasionally. It's a good release, and to me, I think narrowly just pips the slightly more boring Mugler Cologne as my favourite from Mugler.
Next, it is the house of Paco Rabanne.
Paco Rabanne, yes, another brand that I'm not the biggest friend of. 1 million and things like that don't really do it for me. Invictus, it's rather tacky, isn't it? Let's be honest. They, of course, have a great history and heritage. When they brought out Paco Rabanne pour Homme in the mid-70s, it was a really, really big deal. And it went on being very, very, very popular fragrance into the 80s and 90s, still on sale today. Modern versions lack something. I have the vintage. There's an obscure flanker that I'm a huge fan of, though, and that's Sport de Paco Rabanne. What a shame we can't get this anymore. 1986, one of the earliest sport flankers for a fragrance, and it is just a fantastic citrusy fougere fragrance with many of the things we expect. The oak moss in the base, of course in larger amounts that we can use today. Patchouli's in there. There's all kinds of spices and herbs in the mid. Complex stuff here, really, really complex perfumery from Rosendo Matteo, still active today. And this little twist maybe of bergamot and lime in the top just gives it this fresh edge. A sport fragrance like nothing that would be called sport today. Remarkable stuff. If you can seek out a bottle of this, you're very lucky. And I would highly recommend Sport de Paco Rabanne, 1986. Great days they were.
Please tell us your favorite fragrance from Dior.
Well, Dior is the other big boy of the game to me. It's Dior and Chanel as the major fragrance houses of all time. Dior's so hard again to pick. I really wanted to pick Eau Sauvage, but I'm going to say Eau Sauvage is tied with what I've actually picked. But on a tie break, I'll give it to this just for being more modern, and people are going to get fed up with my old-fashioned choices. Although I do rule Fragcom, so what they think really doesn't matter to me. But yeah, I'm going to go with Dior Homme Parfum, a flanker. It's just the most powerful and remarkable iteration of the Dior Homme line. The famous waxy lipstick note, darkened up a little bit more guts and base notes, I think, taking the power over a little bit in this fragrance. Some people say there's a twist of oud. I don't pick up on it, but it's got a kind of a leathery undertone mixed with that beautiful waxy iris unique thing. It really, really is niche quality stuff. I'm not sure if you can still get this one, Anatoly, but if you can, guys, I think you've got to grab a bottle before they get rid of it totally. Dior Homme Parfum is a remarkable beast mode fragrance, very strong, and you've got to hand it to Dior for releasing this one in around about 2000 and something, 12, 13, was it 14, 15? I don't know. Whenever they released this, I think it was 2013. Please, Dior, keep this one on the shelves.
Comrade leader, what is you thinking is the best fragrance from Yves Saint Laurent?
Yeah, YSL, they got some beauties. I kind of wanted to give it to Koros. In a way, Chorus is more exciting than the one I've picked, but I just have such a soft spot for Rive Gauche Pour Homme, the ultimate barbershop fragrance. Smells like shaving foam, a little twist of licorice and anise. Take things like Fabergé's Brut, a little bit of Azzaro Pour Homme, just tidy them up a little bit for the modern era, and you get this fantastic, wonderful, beautiful fragrance. There's Gaiac wood in here. It's kind of warming, rich, reassuring, but it's creamy and soapy and clean. It's the ultimate barbershop, expensive smelling version of a barbershop Pinard Clubman Brut fragrance, and well done to creative director at the time, Tom Ford, for helping them produce this. Sadly discontinued, but if you can find a bottle, snap them up before they're all gone, I would say, guys.
And now to Versace.
Versace, yeah, another house that I don't have tons of stuff. No big fan of Eros or any of its flankers, quite frankly. So I've picked 1991's Versus. Anatoly, I think this is really the one that people should go for if they can track it down, which is very, very hard nowadays. It's a beautiful, kind of an old school smell, but it doesn't quite smell like an 80s fragrance. It's fresh, it's masculine, it's got citrus, it's got quite a lot of lavender in there, but it's not totally out and out barbershop. It's got a little bit more of a sexy, fun vibe in it. Almost a hint of something slightly exotic. I pick up on maybe juniper, maybe a wisp of incense. Remarkable. Versace Versus. This is real kind of 90s, early 90s in a bottle. If you can find this, it's just great, great fun stuff. Nice performance for me. And yeah, it takes me back to the golden days of designer perfumery, which were, just coming to their end by the time really that we got into the 2000s, but still, really, really alive and well, I think, in the early 90s. Great release. I also am a big fan of Versace Pour Homme from Alberto Marias, 2008. Does smell similar to Allure Homme Sport. Less remarkable than this one, but that is a good one.
Please give us your thoughts on Jean-Paul Gaultier.
Jean-Paul Gaultier, well, it was easy for me. The La Malle is great. Fleur de Mal is even better. It doesn't smell massively much like La Malle. It's really pungent. It's kind of a floral musk, floral mixed with almost animalic, pungent funkiness. It's incredible. It's just a remarkable fragrance. Again, they've discontinued it. 2005 flanker. Perhaps people didn't really get it. There's a Cologne flanker as well, which is also really nice. But it just has this real oomph to it. It does have this kind of powdery thing that is similar to La Malle in that respect. And the beautiful, I think it's jasmine and other kind of almost funky floral, because jasmine can be indolic. Floral tones mixed with this kind of funky musk, a hint of sweetness, but it's not really sweet. It's remarkable. It fills the room, and Fleur de Mal, I think, was the finest hour, perfumery-wise, not sales-wise, I don't think. From Jean-Paul Gaultier, has to be my pick.
Now for Gucci.
Gucci is a tough one. I almost picked a Nobile from 1988, fantastic fougere, but it's maybe just a textbook fougere, nothing groundbreaking. So we've got to go with this one. I think it was Michel Almarac, 2002. Gucci Pour Homme. There was an earlier Gucci Pour Homme in the 70s, but this is... and I like that too, but I think this is incredible. So Gucci Pour Homme was maybe ahead of its time, maybe people didn't get it, I don't know. It's no longer around, sadly, on our shelves. I've got a 30ml here, and it's kind of fresh in a very dry way. It's not really citrusy freshness, but it's a sort of woody freshness, if that makes sense. Almost an ashy wood undertone, patchouli, a little bit spicy, dry, masculine, different to anything that had come before, and in some ways different to anything that's come since, although Bentley for Men Absolute does a great job of recreating this, and I think the perfumer, the same guy, was involved. Gucci Pour Homme was a remarkable thing when it came out. So sad we can't get it. There are some really good ones from Gucci, and some that I find absolutely, completely boring, but this was definitely in the good camp. Gucci Pour Homme, for me, is their best.
And finally, dear comrade leader, please tell Fragcom which is the best fragrance from Givenchy.
Finally, Givenchy. Well, I wanted to pick Gentleman, my dad's signature scent. I love Monsieur de Givenchy. It's one of my favourite houses in terms of some of them, but there's loads that I think are actually very boring, but the older ones I really love. I'm going to go Xerius, 1986, fantastic fougere. Here's the lovely Art Deco old bottle, but I'll talk about the one people can get. Great prices on this online. I don't know if they're phasing it out, so get it before it goes. Lovely, lovely fougere fragrance. Again, the typical kind of citrus freshness, and then this wisp of incense in there makes it a bit exotic, bit different. Wearable in any situation, versatile. Givenchy Gentleman, a little bit heavy and oppressive. Monsieur de Givenchy, The reformulation is nice, but it is a little bit light. It is a little bit transient. This one has some of the best facets of both, but a completely unique smell of its own. Interestingly, they had to change the name from Kerios to Xerios because YSL, who had made Koros not long before, didn't like it. What a great fragrance, still available. Been wearing it loads lately. Just got it a couple of weeks ago. I made a fair dent. Xerios for me, so I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, dear comrade leader, for sharing your thoughts. Guys out there, the leader has asked me to say that whatever you're doing in life, please, let's project and remember, sometimes life may stink, but we can always smell good.
Bon viveur, le nouveau parfum pour Barnetnaughton et Wilson. Parce que la vie est faite pour être appréciée.